Right. Brought to you by the new Pharaoh's Lounge Kickstarter. Coming off a nice juicy win yesterday. It ain't 100 grand, but it's 8 grand, and I'll take it. Bankrolls me for a couple of weeks until I lose it all back. So, while you're trying to rebuild your bankroll, I know you always want to jump right into the $10 games, the $20 games, and the $15 games. But the fact of the matter is, unless there's 100 grand or more, I ain't playing a $10 and $15 games because I'm not a spreadsheet hunting asshole. Especially because I want to burn through my bankroll until it gets a little bit bigger. But now that I'm all excited for making lineups again my way, I'm going to take the same system. I'm going to rebuild my bankroll in the $1 games and the $3 games. So we got to get there into the trenches. We already made lineups for the Monday Night Football game and the Sunday Night Football game with our 20 allowance, our 20 lineup allowance. So basically, when football season's over, I'm going to get back into hockey, basketball. I'm basically just going to apply the same exact lineup formula across every single fucking sport and see if it works. And if it does, I'm rich. If it doesn't, fuck your mother. All right. Let's do this shit like the way we do it. Davante Adams, Josh Jacobs, Geno Smith, Kenneth Walker III, Derek Carr, DK Metcalf. We see right here our top 6 cards. But of course, if you try to play them all, you end up with a pretty damn big deficit. So let's see how we do this. That's how we do it right. Take me through the night. Shadow dancing. We got good old Geno. Anybody besides see Richie? Anybody know where Richie did Bobby Lupo? And mind you, I'd rather be doing all this in the $10 games, but I realized last time where I fucked up was the second I got a big score, I won like 10. I won like 10 grand in one game. I won 5 grand in another game. I went right through because I was just playing nothing but $10 games. You got to pace yourself back in. You got to pace yourself back in. Make sure your system's actually working more than once in a blue moon. Because I just brought the system back. System's been back now for 2 weeks. We got our first big win. Second big win of the year was when I was mixing and matching my system with Graham Cano. I ended up winning 5 grand in that Giants Cowboys game. Would have been more, but again, it was one of those fucking super ties. I'll take a super tie over a loss any day. The idea of how we make lineups is we put all the best cards in there and we try to basically just try to capture the core and then switch out the captains and pray that we get the right captain and that the core cards, the highest cards in the deck, actually play out their value and kick some ass. If they don't, you get into a crazy unorthodox game. You're fucking dead in the water, regardless of how you pick the lineups, whether you pick 150, whether you pick 20, whether you pick one fucking lineup. Mac Hollins. Was that Mac Hollins we put in there? Yes, we did. So we got the Raiders via Las Vegas and the Seattle Seahawks. I have not been to Vegas in a long time. It's been a long time. So I'd love to get back there and go to a Raiders game. Seattle, I went there for Emerald City Comic Con. And I wasn't happy with the artists. I thought they were kind of cunts. And it just felt like an overrated kind of show. And again, maybe I just need more time there. Maybe I just need to go back and see either a Mariners game or perhaps a Seahawks game. We'll skip all the backup quarterbacks, go straight up to Marquise Goodwin, and you see how we play this out. It's a fun way to play. Keeps yourself on a discipline of 20 lineups so you're not blowing out your fucking bankroll, but you're putting yourself in a good position to win some games. And I am living proof that you can take down a fucking tournament with 20 lineups and not always get beat by those spreadsheet cunts. The whistle go woo. Oh, if there's ever a man that needed to get hit by a bus while he was driving to a picnic with his fucking family, they deserve to fucking die with him because you know what? Nah, it's wrong. They're innocent. I'm like Scarface. I don't kill no women and children, man. I just don't like a guy that wins big money and still plays in $5,000 and $10,000 tournaments. I feel like it's a cunt move, but he looks like a cunt, so that's what it is. He's a jerk off, and I'm bitter. When you're ready, come and get it. Na 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 na. Amir Abdullah. Will Amir Abdullah be captain fucking material? Now, in a tournament like this, you're playing $20, but you can win 125 for taking these tournaments down. This is how I used to do it when I had a very, very small bankroll. I played at all the $1 games. The 20 entry maxes, when I started winning the $100 and $200, I started doing it in baseball. I would just start playing the $10 games. And if I lost, I went back to the $1 games. I went back to the threes and the fives. And the idea is you just kept going and going until literally I was playing $5,000 a week on DraftKings. It may not be a lot to you crazy motherfuckers, but it was a lot to me, so fuck off. I like to curse, especially when I'm rabid and the cannabis is in me veins. It's a beautiful Black Friday. I took my winnings from yesterday. I bought myself a beautiful brand new X chair, X3. I'm coming here next week to assemble it, and I will no longer have this uncomfortable chair. Oh, it's not uncomfortable, it's just not made for working. So this chair is going outside on the fucking terrace in my beautiful downtown Lauderdale abode. And how do they say? I'm hoping to mac bitches. Not really. I'm just buying the new massage chair because I'm doing these videos. I'm writing comic books. I want a comfy fucking chair. Like I'm sitting Indian style in this fucking chair right now. It hurts. Why does it hurt? Here we go. Bang, 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 bang with the trolley. Ring, ring, ring with the bell. All right. And finally, Keenan, go. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see what we got here, ladies and gentlemen. Starts with winning the $1 rounds. Got to win the $1 rounds. And if you do, and if you do, and if you do, and if you do, all right, what do we got here? Davante Adams recorded 7 receptions on 13 targets for 141 yards and 2 touchdowns in Sunday's overtime win over the Broncos. Adams earned double-digit targets for the third consecutive game and shredded the Denver secondary for scores of 31 and 35 yards. The latter was his longest catch of the day and also accounted for the game-winning touchdown. And he also turned into 2 additional receptions of more than 20 yards. Adams has surpassed 100 receiving yards in each of his last 3 matchups, while scoring 5 touchdowns in that span. All right, obviously we want Adams. Adams is in our core, of course. Josh Jacobs rushed the ball 24 times, 109 yards in Sunday's win over the Broncos. He added 3 receptions on 4 targets for 51 yards. Jacobs was the only rated to log in a rushing attempt, and he recorded the highest number of carries since Week 4. He was largely held in check on the ground scale, aside from a 15-yard carry in the third quarter. But his biggest play of the day late in the final quarter, was a 43-yard reception to set up the game-tying field goal. Jacobs has now topped 150 total yards in 4 of his 9 games on the campaign. Jacobs is a fucking beast this year. He was the guy who was counting out. Geno Smith completed 23 of his 33 passes for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions in the loss to Tampa Bay. Smith had a costly fumble deep in Tampa Bay territory late in the third quarter, which was a contributing cause to the Seattle loss. However, he was strong from a fantasy perspective, averaging 8.3 yards per attempt while also connecting for scores of 21 and 19 yards. Smith now has multiple touchdown throws in 4 consecutive games, and he has recorded exactly 275 passing yards in 2 straight contests. Kenny Walker rushed the ball 10 times for 17 yards in Sunday's loss to the Buccaneers. He added 6 receptions on 8 targets for 55 yards. Walker was bottled up as a rusher, and the Seahawks were forced to abandon the run due to game script, which resulted in his lowest rushing total since taking over as the starter. However, he became a significant part of Seattle's passing attack in the second half, both on design plays and as a checkdown option, to turn his most prolific day as a receiver. It's also notable that no other running back on the roster recorded either a rushing attempt or a target, so Walker has a clear path to plenty of volume moving forward. So far, all 4 of these cards are good. It's going to be hard. It's going to be fucking hard. Derek Carr completed 23 of 37 passes for 307 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions in Sunday's win over the Broncos. Carr continued to attempt throws at a high volume, as now he has taken to the air at least 36 times in each of his last 3 games. However, he posted one of the more efficient performances in Sunday's win, highlighted by touchdown throws at 35 and 31 yards to Davante Adams. Carr also managed to top 300 passing yards for the second time this season, powered by a campaign-best 7 completions of 20 yards or more. Overall, He's thrown for multiple touchdowns and minimum of 248 yards in each of the last 3 weeks. Fucking A right. Derek Carr has got it, but he's hot here. DK Metcalf recorded 6 catches on 9 targets, 71 yards in Sunday's loss to the Buccaneers. Metcalf tied the team in lead in receptions with Kenneth Walker, though he was uncharacteristically limited to short areas of the field. While his longest catch of the day went for an only 16 yards, Metcalf still managed a decent day by tallying 5 receptions in each of the 10, at least 10 yards. Metcalf entered the game having recorded no more than 55 yards in each of his last 4 matchups, so the bump in production was a particularly welcome sight for fantasy managers. Well, here's your fucking problem right now. Every card here is hot. If you had to pick a weak fucking card, it's there. It's DK Metcalf. And if you're going with Devontae Adams, I guess you're going to keep Carr and pull Geno. All right, so you're not getting you ain't getting Daniel Carlson here, unless you pull Walker and go with the fucking slaughter stack. You know what we got to do right now? Bottom of the barrel, all the way to Will Disley. Bottom of the barrel, all the way to Will Disley. All right, who we got? Who we got? Jacob Hollister, signed to the practice squad. Hollister will join the Raiders roster as a replacement for fellow tight end Darren Waller, who was moved to injured reserve Thursday. Foster Moreau is expected to continue at starting at tight end in Waller's stead while handling a near every down role. So Hollister and Jesper Horsted aren't likely to see much involvement on offense for the time being. Instead, if Hollister is active for this weekend's game against the Colts, he might see most of his playing time on special teams. Britton Brown. Dareke Young wasn't targeted in Sunday's win over the Cardinals. Young logged 13 offensive snaps in the divisional win because wide receiver Marquise Goodwin was inactive. It's notable that wide receiver Penny Hart was healthy but didn't handle an offensive snap, so it appears that Young has moved up to the number 5 spot on the Seahawks wide receiver depth chart. All right, if we're desperate, Dareke Young's our guy as of now. Cody! Right now, we still like Dareke Young. Aesop Winston. Albert Wilson. Cade Johnson reverted to the Seahawks practice squad Monday. Johnson received a promotion with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Penny Hart all going into Sunday against the Giants with injuries. However, Metcalf and Lockett were both able to play, and Johnson played just one snap on offense. Cade. You think it's your day, and it's not your day. The Seahawks signed Laquan Treadwell to their practice squad Tuesday. Just a week after being cut from the Arizona practice squad, Treadwell has already found another opportunity with a new team. As long as DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett remain healthy, though, it'll be hard for any other Seattle wideout to get a significant target share consistently. Malik Turner signed to the practice squad. Turner was just let go from San Francisco's practice squad Tuesday after he already received a maximum of 3 elevations to the 49ers active roster in 2022. He'll now serve as an emergency depth option for the Raiders just in case any of their wide receivers are forced to miss time. In those 3 contests, Turner suited up for the season. He's operated primarily as a special teams contributor. This is Gordon Godwin Igabuki, signed to the practice squad. Seattle cut Igabuki from its practice squad just 2 weeks ago, but he gets another chance to make an impression on Seattle coaches. Barring some injuries on the active roster, though, it's unlikely to see the 28-year-old halfback be elevated anytime soon. We gotta know this shit. Fotheringham. I'm assuming he's from Scotland. What do we got? There's a lot of the barrel here. There's a whole lot of bottom in this dang here barrel. Right, Fotheringham's where we left it. Tyler Marbury, Mabry, whatever the fuck. Isaiah Zuba teaches the Zumba classes down the block. Big Bad Bo fucking Melton. Chris the Shiz, Lacey. Darwin Thompson. Austin Walter. DJ Turner was on the field for two of the Raiders' 270 snaps on offense in the loss to the Colts. Hunter Renfro's move to injured reserve in advance of the Week 10 contest ultimately didn't result in a notable change in playing time for Turner, who bumped up to fourth in the depth chart at receiver behind Devontae Adams, Matt Collins, and Keenan Cole. Turner, a second-year player out of Pittsburgh, has yet to log a target in 5 appearances on the season, but has carried 3 times for 20 yards, so he's run the ball. He's a gadget player. Something interesting to think about. DJ Turner on our list. Penny Hart did not play an offensive snap in Sunday's win over the Cardinals. Hart missed the previous 3 games due to a hamstring injury. He was limited to special teams in Sunday's divisional win, even though Marquise Goodwin was inactive. The 26-year-old wide receiver has played just 9 offensive snaps through 6 games this year. Jacob Johnson caught his only target for no gain. Sunday's overtime win over the Broncos. Johnson caught quarterback Derek Carr's first pass of the game, but the former was otherwise used primarily as a blocker while logging 22 offensive snaps. Through the Raiders' first 10 contests, Johnson has yet to record a single carry, and he's totaled only 3 receptions for 6 yards. Hey, Jesper. Get on down over here, Jesper. Went through a target. Jesper Horsted went without a target across 4 snaps on offense in Sunday's loss to the Cardinals. Though he served as the Raiders' number 2 tight end in each of the past 4 games while Darren Waller has been sidelined, Horsted hasn't benefited from a dramatic increase in playing time. Horsted has taken no more than 5 snaps in any of those 4 contests, while Foster Moreau has stepped into a full-time role in the absence of Waller. Moreau hasn't seen his snap share on offense fall below 95% in any of the past 4 weeks. The bottom of the barrel is not looking impressive. All right, we're getting there. Tony Jones Jr. was ruled inactive ahead of Sunday's game against the Giants. Jones signed with Seattle after being waived by the Saints on October 8th. And though he's yet to see any action on offense with the Seahawks, the 24-year-old played 11 special team snaps over the past 2 weeks, and his next opportunity to play will come against the Cardinals. That's old shit. But look at all these injuries. Jeez, crow. Let's see whose names come up in the injury reports. D. Estridge was limited as a non-participant in Thursday's practice estimate. Estridge exited the team's Week 10 game against the Buccaneers with an injury, and after a Week 11 bye, the second-year pro is still yet to practice. Although his influence on the offense is minor, he does operate as the team's return man. If he's unable to play Sunday against the Raiders, Derek Young will likely move up the wideout depth chart, with DJ Dallas may take full control of the return duties. Interesting, incredibly interesting that Derek Young's name have come up again. Penny Lane is in my ear and in my ass. All right. DJ Dallas rushed once for 4 yards in Sunday's win over the Cardinals. He also returned 3 punts for 23 yards. Dallas handled just 2 offensive snaps in the divisional win, as Kenneth Walker and Travis Homer handled a bulk of the workload. As long as Walker and Homer are healthy, Dallas will have minimal fantasy value. Winnable or minimal? Colin Gillespie, priced on injured reserve Saturday. After sustaining a severe neck injury during the Seahawks' win in Arizona Week 9, Gillespie will be required to miss at least the next 4 games as he recovers. As all the linebackers, 119 snaps in 2022 have come on special teams, and Seattle may now have to try and find a way to replace that role. Sean McCormick. Hunter Renfro, placed on injured reserve Thursday. Las Vegas also moved tight end Darren Wall at IR, leaving tight end Foster Moreau and receivers Mac Hollins, Keenan Cole, and DJ Turner as candidates to see added pass catching opportunities in the coming weeks. Renfro is ineligible to return to action before week 14 when the Raiders see the Rams. Here's his buddy Darren Waller, placed on injury reserve Thursday. Waller will thus miss at least 4 games, and his next chance to suit up for a game being Thursday, December 8th, when the Raiders take on the Rams in Week 14. While Waller is out, Foster Moreau is in line to serve as the Raiders' top tight end, a role that gives him a degree of fantasy utility in the coming weeks. I blame you for the moonlit sky. All right. Zamir White, inactive for Sunday's game against the Broncos. With White inactive, Amir Abdullah, Brandon Bolden, and Britton Brown are the Raiders' available backfield options Sunday, behind starter Josh Jacobs. Tyler Ott. You ought to know. That's just a little humor. All right. You read about Zamir? Brandon Bolden caught his only target for 4 yards in Sunday's overtime win over the Broncos. Bolden's lone reception came in the first quarter, but he ultimately logged just 3 offensive snaps while fellow running back Amir Abdullah so 4 targets out of the Raiders' backfield behind Josh Jacobs. Bolden figures to remain limited to a special teams role against Week 12 against the Seahawks. Meh. Colby Parkinson hauled in both of his targets a total of 6 yards. Sunday's win over the Cardinals. The third-year tight end logged a season-high 29 offensive snaps. Parkinson still hasn't made much of a fantasy impact this year, as he has just 12 catches for 165 yards and 1 touchdown through 9 games. Where am I? Keenan Cole, man. Keenan Cole caught one of 2 targets at 21 yards in Sunday's overtime win over the Broncos. He also returned 4 punts for 28 yards. Despite playing more than 40 offensive snaps this week, Cole was held without a catch till the Raiders' final drive in regulation. Meanwhile, fellow receivers Davante Adams and Mac Hollins combined for 31 receptions on 22 targets for 193 yards, 2 scores. Expect Cole to continue occupying the slot against the Seahawks Week 12. Right. Keenan Cole may end up being the way to go here. Travis Homer, what do you have got to say for yourself? Didn't record a carry or a target in Sunday's loss to the Buccaneers. Homer recorded at least 1 touch in all 5 games that he suited up for prior to Week 10. However, the Seahawks mostly abandoned the run after falling behind to the Buccaneers early. And rookie Kenneth Walker proved to be an effective pass catcher in 6 receptions for 55 yards in this contest. Going forward, Homer is simply an insurance option. And finally, we got Will Dissly, who we can't get. Dissly caught both of his targets at 28 yards in Sunday's loss to the Buccaneers. Dissly handled the season low 21% of the offensive snaps, which wasn't far behind Noah Fant. The Seahawks frequently utilized tight end 2 sets, but they limited their tight end usage because they were trailing most of the game. Regardless, fantasy managers shouldn't have high expectations for Dissly on a regular basis, as he's put up 26 catches for 258 yards and 3 touchdowns through 10 games. They can't get him for this one, though. So what is it you want to do? We definitely want Derek Young. That's our $200 man. The remaining 27, I like Kenny Cole. That's a receiver you can rely on. All right. That one's in the bag. All right. Davante Adams will keep. Who do we get rid of here? We get rid of 2 motherfuckers here. We'll ditch Metcalf. Hmm. Who else could we ditch? Want to keep Adams. Gino could score, man. He could put up the points. Got Kenneth Walker here. Let's go get Daniel Carlson. Daniel Carlson made 3 of 4 field goal attempts and converted his only extra point try in Sunday's overtime win over the Broncos. Carlson missed his first field goal attempt since week 9 of the 2021 season when his 46-yard effort sailed wide right in the early stages of the second quarter. However, he rebounded from this rare mistake in a massive way with connections of 52, 57, and 25 in the second half to ultimately send the Raiders to overtime. Carlson hadn't made nor even attempted 3 field goals in a game since week 5 prior to Sunday's victory. We'll give the man his soup. Which sends us tumbling back down. Now again, we can pull Gino, replace him with Tariq Young. We got to get that 1100 back. We'll take it out of Kenneth Walker. What do we have for the 89? DK Metcalf. That's not bad. What's going on with Tyler Lockett? Lockett recorded 3 receptions on 5 targets for 42 yards and a touchdown in the loss to Tampa Bay. Lockett was held without a catch in the first half, but it came through for a 21-yard touchdown reception midway through the fourth quarter. He also chipped in 11 and 10-yard catches, both of which ultimately led to scores for Seattle. While there were positives to point to, Lockett now only has 5 targets and 3 in the last 5 games. That makes him the heavily reliant on big plays and touchdowns to be productive, which he has managed to do in the point. However, it will also lead to him producing inconsistently down the stretch, barring a change in usage. Well, does that mean we're hoping? Yeah, that's what we're hoping. We're hoping that fucking Tyler fucks some shit up. Do that later. All right, what we got? What we got? Now, Gino's the captain, so we'll keep Metcalf, we'll keep Walker, we'll keep Jacobs, and we'll lose Carr and Adams. Good work, kid. Let's go get their kicker. Jason Myers. Connected on a 55-yard field goal on an extra point in Sunday's loss to the Buccaneers. Myers was about to line up for a 40-yard try when wide receiver DK Metcalf incurred an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that backed him up 15 yards. But it was no problem for Myers, who now has 6 straight field goal attempts from the beyond 50 yards in back-to-back last seasons, dating back to last seasons. Through 10 games this year, Myers has 19 of 20 field goal tries and 26 of 27 extra point tries. Myers is the way for me. And then we'll put Keenan Cole in. Bada bing, bada boom. We had sex in a room. If you're young at heart, fairy tales can come true. It could happen to you. All right, so we dropping here. We got to get 15 grand back. We're going to drop Carr. I'm going to drop Jacobs. We'll go get the shithead Seattle kicker. And with the 400 left, we'll take DJ Turner. Bang. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a winning lineup. If I ever saw one. All right. Then we got Derek Carr, so give him his targets. Give him his Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. Who's got to go? Get rid of Metcalf and Gino. And we'll get Tariq Young. Tariq Young. There's Daniel Carlson. Who else? We got 95 left over. Good for us. Metcalf or Lockett. Oh, Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Let's go on Mac Hollins. Hollins recorded 6 receptions on 9 targets and 52 yards in Sunday's win over the Broncos. The Raiders remain heavily concentrated on their offensive approach, with Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams accounting for the majority of the production. Hollins was next in line, finishing second on the team in targets, receptions, and yards. While it was an encouraging performance, Hollins has been highly inconsistent this season, scoring fewer than 20 points in 4 of the first 10 games. He left because of his mental health, right? All right, so we got here, but more than likely stands for a Las Vegas slaughter stack. Unless you want to get Lockett or Metcalf in there. So it's got Foster Moreau. Recorded one catch on three targets at 33 yards in Sunday's win over the Broncos. Moreau earned his fewest targets since week one and was held without a catch in the second play in overtime. He did make the most of his two new receptions, of his one reception, and now has given a gain of 20 or more yards each of his last three games. Entering Sunday's matchup, Moreau has recorded multiple receptions in each of his last six games. Though he's failed to produce many big performances in the absence of Darren Waller. Foster Moreau. I'm not liking Foster Moreau. Metcalf for Lockett. Lockett. Leave it on the table. We should get that in like an overpod. DK Metcalf. Keep Geno Smith. Let's lose Carr. Give him his Myers guy. And then we could ditch on Jacobs. With the 1100 left, you get Keenan Cole. We get Sleeper. Which again is either Derek Young or DJ Turner. Or Brandon Bolden. Bolden caught his only target for 4 yards. And Sundays, we read this. I read this shit already. So what do we want to do? Keenan Cole's the way to go. He's the sleeper. Keenan fucking Cole. Bada bing, bada boom. Way too stoned right now. Lock it. So, of course, got a handcuff in the Geno Smith. Let's keep Walker in there. I'm thinking we lose Jacobs and Adams. Now, Carr we can lose. Trade out Carr for Myers. Where the fuck is Myers? There he is. And basically, all we have to do is get rid of Geno Smith or Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs. Derek Carr, whatever it was. Parkinson, huh? Hmm. Colby Parkinson. Huh. I still like Derek Young. That's where I'm putting him. Right bloody there. Learning from my mistakes as an old man. The Raiders have been blown out before. Matt Collins. Who's got to go here? I see we get rid of Walker for Carlson. And now who's going to get rid of? Well, bounce Gino. We need a Seahawk. 39. We miss. What's Amir Abdullah up to? Amir Abdullah caught 3 of 4 targets with 5 yards in Sunday's overtime win over the Broncos. He also returned 3 kickoffs for 69 yards. Abdullah has caught at least 3 passes in 3 of the Raiders' past 4 contests, but only one of his receptions went for a positive yardage Sunday. Starter Josh Jacobs with Las Vegas' only running back to record a carry. Though Abdullah figures the record continues providing relief on pass downs, and the Raiders visit Seattle. Stuttering prick I am. All right. And Abdullah's just sitting there. The problem he's a Raider. He could take Disley. Both of his targets. Disley scored touchdowns before. Every time I fucking watch him score, he scores. Yeah, we're putting in Disley. Boom. Boom. Do you really love me every day? All right. This one's kind of simple if you want to drop Adams. I'm willing to risk it in this one. I'm going to trade out Devontae Adams for DJ Moore. DJ Turner, I'm sorry, DJ Turner. Boom. Here we got Marquise Goodwin, the captain. Caught two passes for 38 yards and a touchdown in Sunday's loss to the Buccaneers. Goodwin missed the Week 9 win over the Cardinals, but returned to action in Germany to score his third touchdown of the season. The Speedster has recorded 16 receptions for 217 yards, 3 touchdowns through 8 games, but all 3 of his scores came in the last 3 appearances. Ain't that some shit? All right, we need 94 out. We can't drop Carr. We can drop Jacobs. Leaving us with 1,200 for Keenan Cole or Brandon Bolden or Zamir White. Keenan Cole. My sleeper. My other sleeper. Boom. All right. This one we got to give up 85, so Noah Fant. So Derek Carr is the odd man out here. And we'll go get, you guessed it, DJ Turner. Where's he hiding? Ushka. All right, it's got to get 8,200 back to get Myers in here. Who wants to go? Hmm. You lose Carr. If you lose Adams, what do you got? 32. Raiders D. I'll take a risk. Raiders D. If there's ever a crazier risk, it's playing the Raiders fucking defense. But against Seattle, fuck it. Fuck it. That one, that's a burner. Daniel Carlson. All right, so we want to get Myers in here. So right off the back, let's break Gino out and get Myers in here for some double kicker action. 21. Carlson, Jacobs, Myers, Kenny Walker the third. Let's get rid of Jacobs. For Lockett. Perfect. Yeah, now my brain is spinning. 76. Seahawks D, so let's just get Derek Carr right out of there. With the 18 we save, I'll get Colby in there. Because if I don't play Colby Parkinson at least once, guess what he's going to do? He's going to sit in that fucking end zone and talk me. Abdullah in the captain's chair. So there's Geno Smith. With Daniel Carlson. And we'll trade Kenneth Walker. DK Metcalf. Raiders D. So we get Geno out of there. Get an Abdullah. Let's get Abdullah out of there. Give me Carlson. There we go. Back half. Slaughter Stack Nation, baby. Mm-mm-mm. Then we got Disley. Ooh, Disley a captain, huh? It's got Carr again. 36 left. Once again, Amir Abdullah. All right, Travis Homer to back up Kenneth Walker. Need 4,900 back. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. Goodbye, Mr. Carter. Almost there. Travis fucking Homer is the captain. Keeping that core. See, we're keeping that core. Parkinson is captain. No. He will run our slaughter stack. Carr captain. Josh Jacobs. Devontae Adams, of course. Foster Moreau. Keenan Cole. 67 left. I put Lockett in here. And you got to drop somebody, so I would drop Moreau. Carlson. Boom. Another slaughter stack. And finalmente, Keenan Cole. Let's keep in Carr. Adams, Jacobs, Smith. Let's just get rid of Smith. For Matt Collins. Or should we make it back up in Toronto for Foster Moreau? Matt Collins. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. 20 lineup allowance. Raiders versus Seahawks. I'm incredibly stoned from all this Black Friday fucking food and goop. Don't forget, winning lineups are here. And they're being shown off. And if you win, and may fate and fate decide your fortune. And if you win, blow your money in the Faro Kickstarter. My numbers got low. It was at 21,231. Now it's at 21,151. So fuck you if you drop down. Peace and love. Bye bye.